we are approaching Father's Day, at least here in the United States. And so today on the Love Your People Well podcast, I just want to share a few sneaky ways, easy ways, probably free if you want them to be ways, that you can encourage your husband on Father's Day. And I'm actually recording this episode in video format, partly because there's a sitter with the kids and I had to record some videos for something else. And so I figured, hey, why not? I don't post a ton on social media, but I'm going to go for it this time. Give it a try. Or maybe I'll edit this part out later if I change my mind or it doesn't work out. That's just a little behind the scenes info for you as we jump into this conversation. Now, again, Father's Day, that can be a hot button issue for some people. That can be a super fun day. Hopefully your relationship with your husband is strong and wonderful and you want to celebrate him on Father's Day. But guess what? Even if it's not, you're maybe not at a high point in your marriage right now, he is still the father of your children, and the Lord calls us to honor, to respect, to love each other, even our enemies, the Lord says. So that can absolutely extend to your husband, whether your marriage is wonderful right now or on the rocks right now. It's worth putting some effort into encouraging him. And Father's Day is a wonderful time to do it. So I'm going to share 6 sneaky little ways, easy, quick little things you can do to encourage him on Father's Day, on his birthday, whenever you want, a random Tuesday, whatever works for you. It's worth putting in this effort. So again, you are listening to the Love Your People Well podcast. I believe this is episode 196. And I'm your host, Jess Hayes. I am a wife and I have kids. I have 4 little ones. I have an incredible husband and I'm a marriage and family therapist. And so I can think about this conversation from both of those angles, from the professional angle of helping husbands and wives, helping kids and their parents work through hard relationships. And sometimes those small little things we do have a way bigger impact than we think they will. But I also very much can look at this through the lens of a wife trying to encourage her husband, trying to help my kids encourage their dad, and trying to think myself about Father's Day, which is coming up in just a few days. So, my tips today are coming from probably both of those angles because my goal is you will walk away with 1 or 2 ideas that are actually realistic, that are not going to stress you out, that can encourage your husband this weekend on Father's Day or any other time. Now, as we jump into this, let me just remind you that we have a lot of resources over at loveyourpeoplewell.com. There are hundreds of blog posts there walking through different topics around family relationships. There are several different devotionals. There are a lot of free resources, a conflict resolution checklist, which might help if you're struggling in your marriage right now. There's a whole page about marriage resources and parenting resources, ranging from intimacy with your husband to how do we talk about, stay on the same page as parents, to how do I handle my kids' temper tantrums. I mean, there are resources for all sorts of family-related issues over at loveyourpeoplewell.com. But let's jump into some ideas. So my first sneaky way that you can encourage your husband on Father's Day is to give your kids secret little assignments for things to do or things to say that you know will encourage your husband or make him laugh. Now, this will look different if you have toddlers or teenagers. For myself, I have 4 kids, ages 4 and under. One of them's not quite 2, so he can't really help me with this particular sneaky thing. But my kids love it when I will give them a silly little assignment like crawl over to dad and tickle his knee. I mean, that's a silly little thing, Usually I'm using it more to distract them from whatever misbehavior they're getting into. But you can bet on Father's Day, they're each going to be telling him some really nice, sweet little things and doing sweet things for him, in part because I'm going to give them secret missions. They love it. They're little kids. They want to be a superhero. We love to sneak on people and trick people and surprise people. They're going to love it. He's going to love it. But even if your kids are older, even if they're out of the house, send them a text, reach out to them, ask them to, hey, could you encourage Dad this weekend? You could keep it very general like that, or you could give them specific things. I think Dad would really love it if you grabbed coffee with him, if you got up early and sat down with him while he reads the paper and just hang out. I think he would really love it if you fill in the blank. Whatever thing would encourage your husband, you can do it, but you can also give your kids that secret mission so he gets extra encouragement. It could be verbal, or it could be something they do with him or for him. The possibilities are probably endless. A second sneaky way, this is totally free, is to compliment him on some specific things that you appreciate about his fatherhood. Now, obviously, if you're working in your marriage, you can do this with his role as a husband. You could do this with his role as a worker or provider. You can do this with any part of his life, but we're talking about Father's Day. So compliment him on things related to what he does as a dad. You might compliment him on how he handled that temper tantrum the other day. You saw him taking those slow, deep breaths, keeping himself calm. Notice that out loud. Tell him that you noticed it, that you appreciated it. It might be, that he gives you a break in some way. It's quiet time, nap time. Mom, you go take a nap. I'll handle cleaning up the kitchen. You could thank him for that. Any number of things that you can thank him for or compliment him on. And if you're feeling stuck in this, that's a great time to turn to Scripture. We can look at, let me pull it up right here in front of me. Maybe one of the easiest places to look is in Ephesians 5, where there's an outline of different roles in the Christian household: wives, husbands, children, parents. Now, certainly there's a lot there for husbands and wives at the end of chapter 5, but as we go into chapter 6 in Ephesians, it talks about children and fathers. You can read through all of Scripture, read through the Proverbs, and find different things that you can say, oh, I have noticed my husband doing that. I have noticed him being patient in this specific moment, or saying something kind in this specific moment, or helping in this way. Notice that, comment on that, compliment him on that. And that's a sneaky little way, totally free little way to encourage him. And if you're not so comfortable with the verbal side of that, write it down. Write a list, 10 ways that I noticed you being a great dad this week. Who wouldn't love to open that letter on Father's Day? All right, but let's keep going. Pray for him. Now, if you really want to be sneaky, you can pray in private. It's just between you and the Lord, and it will impact your husband because God listens to every prayer of those who love him. But you can also pray for him out loud. He might not be expecting that as you sit around the table at dinner and thank you, God, for this food, but you can add something on. Thank you for my husband and the way that he does this, and thank you for this quality or this thing that he does. Pray for him. Pray that God will make him strong. Pray that God will strengthen his faith. Pray that God will grow fruit in his life, make him patient and compassionate and kind. Pray that the Lord will give him patience with your crazy children. Pray for him in secret. Pray for him out loud. Pray for him with your kids. Those are all very easy, practical, but maybe unexpected ways that you can encourage him on Father's Day. Another idea here is, now this might be in addition to a classic Father's Day gift, whatever you might have purchased or your kids have purchased or made, or this might be instead of, but give him several sneaky, small little gifts to encourage him on Father's Day. You might write him a few little notes tape it to the bathroom mirror, stick it in his car, put it in his wallet. You might make him a special little snack or dessert that you know he loves, buy something at the grocery store that you never eat, and then all of a sudden, whoa, it's Father's Day. We're having French toast for breakfast or bacon for breakfast or whatever it is that he particularly loves. You can give him some surprise hugs or kisses, things that he might not be expecting that are a little bit extra on Father's Day. Now, obviously, you can combine some of these. You can walk by him in the kitchen, pause to rub his arm for a minute, give him a kiss on the cheek and say, hey, you are a wonderful dad and I'm so thankful for you. That's going to take about 4 seconds of your day. It's going to wildly encourage him. Maybe your kids get to see it and they're encouraged as well by the strength of their parents' marriage. Be creative, be intentional, and let me share a few other ideas. Let's see, I wrote a few of these down because sometimes I'm in a stage of life as a mom. If I don't write it down, I will not remember. We talked about complimenting him on his fatherhood. Compliment him to your kids. He can hear it or not hear it. Obviously, he's probably more encouraged if he hears it, but the more you're doing it, the more they will say it to him. You can just tell them, wow, isn't Dad awesome? Aren't you so glad Dad could fix that thing? Ooh, Dad's going to be home from work in an hour. Aren't you excited? Like, we can talk very positively about him to our kids, with our kids, and they're going to start saying some of those same things back to him. He might notice it in the moment if he's there and you're saying it. He's fixing something while you're telling the kids, man, it's so great that Dad has the skills that he can fix this. Look at him working so hard on fixing your toy. This is amazing. But even if he's not there, it still encourages him. It still speaks life and blessing into his life, into his relationship with your kids. And those are incredible gifts. The last thing I want to highlight here is to think about the 5 love languages. This is not the last thing. I said that, but I have one more after it. I guess because there's a few points here, it's 5 love languages. But think about the 5 love languages and try to be intentional on Father's Day to do one of each. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation. We've already talked about that. Compliment him. Notice something out loud for him. Physical touch. Give him that extra little hug or kiss. Maybe plan some behind the bedroom door romantic time at the end of the day. You know what made him a father. That's hopefully still a strong part of your marriage. And if it's not, head over to loveyourpeoplewell.com/marriage because we have some resources there that will encourage you there. But make physical touch a part of your Father's Day sneak attack for him. Quality time is one of the love languages. And I'll just say there, it's Father's Day. That might be your quality time with him, of course. It might be family quality time, or it might be working things out so he can get quality time with each of his kids. Plan a little outing for them. Just Dad and his oldest son, or just Dad and his little girl. And if you've got several kids, maybe it'll take several days, but make sure he's getting quality time with you, but also with the kids. Acts of service is another love language. Another one of the love languages. Doing things for him. Maybe they're out of the ordinary for Father's Day, and you can tell him, hey, it's Father's Day. You know what? I'll take out the trash. It can be a little secret. You don't have to tell him, but you can. It doesn't take anything away from it to just point out, I love you. I'm doing this special thing intentionally to encourage you. You may not want to say all those words. You could just say, hey, honey, it's Father's Day. I'm going to take out the trash. I'm going to make the bed. Why don't you take the shower first? Whatever it is, that's a bit of an act of service. And the final love language is gifts. That's probably pretty straightforward. I will simply point out it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Last year, actually both of the things I'm about to mention, I sell in my Etsy shop. They're like $2 each, maybe, very accessible. I have a printables Etsy shop. You can download it, print it at home, use it. But last year I made these little bookmarks about Dad, and we printed them out, cut them apart. The kids colored them in. That was a really easy, really quick, really personalized gift. that was simply using a little bit of black ink. And then we also, I made these little cards for them with Bible verse on it. Again, you can buy it on the Etsy website if you want to, loveyourpeoplewell.com/Etsy. But a little Christian Father's Day card with a Bible verse. The one I did with my kids, it spells out father, Father, and they can't write yet. They're only 4. They were 3 when we did this a bit ago. I think I did it for their birthday, or his birthday, I should say. Anyway, I had them tell me, what's something that starts with F? It's a good learning moment with the kids. He's fun. Oh, let's write that down. Okay, what about A? He likes to act out superheroes with me. Get them to talk with you and fill out this little card. Those examples come to my mind probably because I made them and I sell them on the Etsy shop. And the cards, those little Father's Day cards, actually are one of my most popular items. But just you think outside the box for gifts. It doesn't have to be big and expensive. It can be from you. It can be from the kids. It can be a little note. That is a gift. It can be a little picture that they drew him. You don't need to buy and then download and print out this little Father's Day card. You can do your own acronym with his name or with the word dad or with the word father. Just give him something. And that's a great way to encourage him on Father's Day. And then the last piece I want to say here, I think this is tip number 7 of sneaky ways to encourage your husband on Father's Day, is to think of your personal family stories, right? Like memories with your kids or memories in your marriage, maybe especially if your kids are younger, and pull up some photos, or maybe you get out that photo album, or just try to find some sort of memento about that memory and look through that together on Father's Day. Print it out or just pull it up on your phone. Pull out that old book or that old journal or your wedding album or, that video from when the kids were born or something that's a visual reminder to both of you of this special moment in his life, either in your marriage or as a dad. You probably don't actually go back and watch the videos or look through the photos as often as maybe you think you will, at least if you're anything like me. But that can be such a fun and encouraging thing to do, to look back through the photos together or, pull out that old note that he sent you or, that card from his very first Father's Day, pull that out of the keepsake box and just reminisce together. Is another quick and easy and free thing that you can do to encourage your husband on Father's Day. So I hope a few of these ideas are helpful for you. And this episode is going live at the beginning of the week. And so if you forgot that this week is Father's Day, consider this your public service announcement. It's coming up and it doesn't need to be stressful, doesn't need to cost a lot of money or even take a lot of time, but it's worth being intentional to encourage your husband on Father's Day, but let's be honest, every day. None of these ideas are uniquely specific to Father's Day. You might not give him a gift every day of the week, but you can definitely encourage him, pray for him, give your kids secret little missions to encourage him. Any of these tips would work any day of the week, but it is especially worth being intentional on those big moments like Father's Day, like his birthday, like your anniversary, anything like that. Let me just roll back through them again and remind you that you can grab some of those quick little printables I mentioned are on my Etsy shop, but a lot of freebies, a lot of great resources over at loveyourpeoplewell.com. But here's a review of those sneaky ways to encourage your husband on Father's Day. Give the kids secret assignments so they can say or do something that encourages him. Compliment him specifically on who he is as a dad. Pray for him personally, out loud, pray with your kids, cover him in prayer. Compliment him to your kids. Remind them he's awesome, he's incredible. Aren't you glad he's your dad? Aren't we excited about this thing we're about to do with dad? Compliment him, make him a rock star, talk about him positively in front of and with your kids. Instead of maybe a big gift, do several small things that will surprise him. You can leave notes scattered around the house or surprise little kisses or hugs. Lots of little things throughout the day might be more meaningful to him than one big gift, or you can do them both. Think about those 5 love languages and try to do one of each very intentionally. That's words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, acts of service, and gifts. And then the 7th tip here, some sneaky ideas, is to go through the photo album or pull out some old memorabilia and look through it with him. Remind each other of these fun memories that you have together and just enjoy that moment. Friends, these are not like magic wands. They're not miracle solutions for problems in your family life or anything like that, but they are quick and easy ways to build up your husband, to make him happier, to strengthen your marriage, strengthen your family, strengthen his parenting, build that relationship in your home. And those are efforts that are always worth it. So I would encourage you to grab those resources at loveyourpeoplewell.com, grab some freebies or look through some other older blog posts around different topics that are important to you. And I would invite you, if you haven't done it yet, to subscribe to the show. That way it just pops right up in your library. Life has been a little crazy lately, and if you've been listening for a while, you may have noticed I'm not posting on the same day of the week every week. That's my goal, but it doesn't always happen anymore. So if you're subscribed to the show, it doesn't matter. It'll just pop right up there in your podcast library. And share it with a friend. Talk about it, text it to them, copy the link to an episode and send it to them. There's a lot of ways to stay connected without having to think about it. And again, all those resources are over at loveyourpeoplewell.com. But I will sign off for now. We will be back next week with another episode of the Love Your People Well podcast, bringing practical tips and biblical encouragement to help you love your people well. So until then, hugs and blessings to you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. I'm so glad you joined me today for this episode of the Love Your People Well podcast. If you found it helpful or encouraging, please leave a written review to encourage me, but also to help the show grow. You can even copy the link to this episode and text it to a friend. Don't forget to grab all your resources at loveyourpeoplewell.com and join us inside the Faith Fiver Club for extra perks every week.